Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, we're going to be taking a look at yet another unofficial Windows version. If you guys haven't already figured out, I have a whole playlist on this channel containing videos just like this one. But in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at an unofficial version of Windows 7, calling itself the Super Lite Edition Service Pack 1. And as you can probably tell by that name, it is basically another one of these minimalist versions of Windows. We've taken a look at actually a lot of these recently. We took a look at Windows XP Performance Edition, Windows XP Netbook Edition, and on the Windows 7 side of things, a couple of years ago I did a video on Tiny 7, which is basically the same concept. This one here is calling itself the Super Lite Edition, and it basically modifies kind of what is actually installed in this OS, and it makes it take up less space on the hard drive, and it makes some modifications to allow it to use less system resources than a regular install of Windows 7 would. And so right off the bat, you can see that there are a lot of modifications done to the installer screen here. We've got a totally different theme going on here with some new buttons and an ultra translucent or transparent wallpaper, or not wallpaper, but the actual, window background here. We also have a different background, if you can see that as well. It looks pretty nice. And it has the author's name right here, and it was last modified on February 17th, 2017. So this is actually a pretty recent unofficial Windows version. So we're going to go ahead and just go through the installation here. So we're going to go ahead and press next. We're going to install it on the 30 gig drive that I've given this VM. And yeah, you may have noticed or you may not have noticed, but it completely skipped past the agreeing to the license agreement phase. So there is no license agreement for this. I assume the author hasn't modified it or just wanted to skip by it for whatever reason to speed up the installation, but it literally just, when you boot from the CD, it goes to what version of Windows do you want to install. There's only this one, and then it asks you where to install it, and then that's it. It's just, off to the races basically. You may also notice that the author has kind of changed out a lot of the Windows text, like how normally during the Windows 7 install process, all of these different items here will only say copying Windows files, installing Windows features, installing Windows updates. The author has went ahead and changed out the Windows text to Windows 7 Super Lite, and he's done that in a couple of places. You can see up here, it's also done, it just says Windows 7 Super Lite instead of just Windows, and the same down here at the bottom. The only place where it doesn't appear is in the title of the window and in this one spot right here. So we're just going to go ahead and let it install here, and while it's doing that, I'll go ahead and give you some features that this OS at least claims to do. It says that this OS can be installed on a Pentium 4 or less. I'm not sure how less of a Pentium 4, you probably couldn't install this on like a Pentium 1. And it says it only needs 2 gigs of RAM, which is what I gave this machine. And it also only needs, at least it claims, we're going to obviously, check these claims in the actual OS here, but it claims it only needs 3 gigs of hard drive space. Now, for comparison, standard Windows 7 for the 32-bit install needs 16 gigabytes. So if that claim is actually correct, they have cut a lot from this install here to actually get it down from 16 gigs to 3 gigs. You can see that the boot screen isn't modified really at all. It is totally just the standard Windows 7 boot screen, but again, that might change once we actually restart the system. Alright, so the boot screen has actually gone away and the installer is now, installing devices, as you can see here. Now, I believe that on a regular Windows 7 install, there's usually like an animation going on in the background. I don't believe it's the boot screen, but there's like some kind of animation up here at the top, if I remember correctly, somewhere up here. So that is something that the author could have completely stripped out to, again, try to save space on the hard drive, because that's kind of the entire goal of this OS and the other OSs like it that we've taken a look at on this channel. Is it's just trying to kind of strip out a lot of the unnecessary, kind of the extra visual themes, some of the the nice eye candy things basically that you don't need to actually use the system effectively, but things that are nice to have. Alright, so the system has just restarted. I believe this is the last time, at least hopefully it will be. And this pretty much confirms, unless there's some more modification scripts that it has to run, which I don't believe there's any like third-party software that's installed with this, because it's literally trying to strip stuff out rather than adding things in. But it looks like that the boot screen has not been modified at all. So I think that I've said this before in one of these videos, that's kind of like a 50-50 thing with these unofficial Windows versions. You'll have some that will modify the boot screen and some that won't. It was this animation right here, by the way, that I was talking about earlier. I at least think that on that last screen where it was installing devices, I believe it was supposed to have either this animation or the boot screen going on, but there was literally nothing. It was just the text on the screen with a percentage. So I don't know. I don't believe that I've seen that before in a standard Windows 7 install, so that could be something that the author has modified. But right now it's just going through some of the standard Windows 7 setup procedures, where it's going to be checking video performance, going through kind of all of its first boot things here, you know, the tasks that it has to do. And we have a mouse cursor. So it looks like this is based on Windows 7 Ultimate, as you can probably see by down here at the bottom of the logon screen. The logon screen background has not been modified. So again, another kind of 50-50 thing that, you know, some of these unofficial versions will do it, some of them won't. This just happens to be one of them that doesn't. And right now it is preparing our desktop. So another huge thing that it has completely stripped out of the entire setup process is kind of the out-of-box experience. Windows 7's out-of-box experience is, if you still want to call it that in Windows 7, is basically when it goes through and it asks you for your username, your computer name, and your product key, and oh, I guess it's going to actually restart one more time. Okay, so I guess it had to actually start up, and now it's going to restart again. So, okay, we'll go ahead and let it do that. But anyway, like I was saying, Windows 7's out-of-box experience is where it asks you for your username, your password, your product key, what you want your user picture to be, things like that. It completely skipped past that entirely, so this has not asked me for any user input since I chose the partition that I wanted to install this on. It has completely done everything automatically. It's already set up a user account for us, and yeah, so that is definitely very, very nice. It also kind of takes some time out of the install process, so it will save time for everybody who actually decides to use this thing. But we'll go ahead and just let it log back in here, and actually we can then take a look at what's been stripped out of here and if anything was added. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, so we have successfully logged in here, and right off the bat you'll notice a pretty big change, and that is the desktop wallpaper. The author has added, I don't know if this is the author's own creation or if this is just another wallpaper that the author found somewhere, but there is a unofficial Windows 7 wallpaper here, which actually looks pretty cool. And so the first thing that I want to verify is, let's actually go into my computer here and see how much space that we're taking up on the hard drive. So we've got 26 gigs free of 29.8 gigs. And that is a huge, yep. Okay, so it's not exactly 3 gigs, it's 3.84 gigabytes, so almost 4 gigs. But that is still a major cutback from the 16 gigabytes that Windows 7 32-bit requires to have free on your hard drive. So that is very, very good. Definitely have to give props to the author for, you know, making those cuts, because you could literally install this on like a flash drive, which I actually did with Tiny 7. I believe that in this video up here, up in the cards, I actually installed it on I think it was like a 4 or an 8 gigabyte hard drive, because I think the amount of space that it took up was also very, very low as well. It was around 3 to 4 gigs, I believe. So you could definitely install this on a USB drive and literally carry it around with you, or like on a very low capacity 4 gig SD card. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at some of the things that have been cut. So when we open up the start menu here, right off the bat you'll notice that it looks pretty standard. There's not a whole lot of things missing, at least from the you know, start menu interface. All of our folders are still here on the side. When we go into all programs though, you'll see that it's a different story. There's been a ton of things that have been cut. Usually this list here is, I want to say at least double this, maybe not exactly double, but there's more things in here than what is in here right now. You see that we only have the desktop gadget gallery, Internet Explorer, media player, Windows Update. Under accessories here, some of the accessories that are missing, there is no WordPad. There's no Windows Media Center. The Windows Media Player is still here, but the kind of full screen Media Center, that is missing. The XPS viewer is missing. The help, all of the like help documentation is completely gone from here as well. And if we go into the games folder here, we do have a couple of games in here. We have Free Cell, the Games Explorer doesn't count. We have Hearts, Solitaire, and Spider Solitaire. So we have 4 games in here, but like Chess Titans is gone. Minesweeper is gone. I'm trying to think of what else is usually in here. And also all of the Windows Internet games are gone as well. And by the way, if you haven't heard the news, Microsoft has actually killed off the Internet games in Windows XP. So if you want to kind of hear how that happened and kind of see those games for the last time, check out this video up in the cards right now. It's kind of a one last look at those games because you cannot play them anymore, unfortunately. The Windows 7 Internet games are still going to be online for about 6 more months, so if they were in here, you could still play them. And the author has also changed a couple of text strings in here as well. You'll see that it still says Windows 7 Ultimate. Actually, let me go ahead and just open up WinVer here to kind of compare these. I think they are going to be pretty similar for the most part. Okay, so the first thing that's different is the copyright. It's no longer copyrighted to Microsoft. It's the author's name here. And instead of saying the Windows 7 Ultimate operating system, it says the Windows 7 Super Lite operating system. This still looks the same for the most part. The Microsoft software license terms, that's still here, and the author's initials is in place of the username. Again, you can't actually choose the username yourself or who this is registered to. You can modify it in the Windows registry if you want to after the fact, but you cannot modify it during the installation. So this is kind of already built in here to have the author's initials as the registered user in here, basically. So some of the other things here, let's go into the C drive here, let's go into Windows, and let's go into the fonts folder. So the website that I got this from has claimed to remove some of the fonts from within here. So there's only 62 fonts. I believe that a standard install of Windows 7 has somewhere between 100 and 200 fonts. I don't have a standard install of Windows 7 at the moment, but I can show you that on my Windows 10 computer. Now, I have added about 4 or 5 fonts to the system, but there's 243 items in here. So I think there's definitely more than 62 items in Windows 7. So there have been some fonts that have been cut from here. Kind of only the necessary fonts have been left. Although Wingdings is still in here, so that's for some reason still in here. But yeah, that has been removed. Also, the ability to create zip folders has been removed as well. You see, if we go to the new column here in the context menu, we only have the option to create a new folder, a new shortcut, or a new text document. So there's been a lot of items cut from within here as well. And we can actually verify that ability right now. So let me go ahead and just copy over a zip file, which Windows 7 will normally be able to open up. And you can see right here, it is not able to. We cannot even... Let's see if we try to choose Windows Explorer. So let's go ahead and go back here to the C drive, Windows, and let's do Explorer.exe. So we try to open it with Windows Explorer. It will attempt to open it up. You see we have a very non-standard icon here. We have like the blank icon with the Windows Explorer icon in it, which I've not really ever seen that before. And the cursor is kind of freaking out here, so I just can go ahead and probably assume safely that it's not going to be able to open this file. So yeah, the ability to create and open zip files from the standard Windows Explorer has been removed. So that is something else that saves space on the system as well. Also, if we go into personalize here, you can see that there's only 2 themes. There's Windows 7 Basic and Windows Classic, and then we also have an arrow theme up here, so there's 3 actually. And so is there arrow in here actually? Oh, there is arrow. Okay, I thought that arrow was completely cut. Apparently there is arrow in here, so that is nice. Arrow is something that the author definitely could have cut, but for some reason he did not, so it is still in here. So that is nice, and I did install VMware Tools, as you can see here, so we are able to actually use Arrow now, and the entire system definitely feels a lot faster. So yeah, all of the other themes, there's more than 3 in a standard install of Windows 7, so all the other ones have been removed. Again, like I said, there's no help. There's also no recovery. You may have been able to see that as well. The system does not create, and there is no option to create a recovery partition in the installation. So that is something that has also been cut as well, again, to save space, kind of the major theme here. But I believe that is it. That is kind of all of the major things that have been cut. Let's also go into the control panel here and just take a look at it and see if there's anything missing from here. I believe, yeah, Windows Fax and Scan is not here either. I believe that the printer options you can still, I believe, at least, it's probably right in front of me, I just can't see it. Okay, so there's still like devices and printers in here, but the actual Windows Fax and Scan, let me just go ahead and look up fax here. You see that Windows Fax and Scan has been completely removed as well. So there you go. That is kind of all of the major things, honestly, that have been cut. I'm honestly pretty surprised that Arrow is still in here. I thought that that would be kind of one of the big things that the author would try to cut from this to save space. But there you have it, guys. That is a general and brief overview of Windows 7 Super Lite Edition. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to get subscribed down below and turn on those channel notifications if you haven't already to get notified whenever that I upload a new video, which I do every single week on this channel. And also be sure to draw me a comment down below letting me know your guys' thoughts on this unofficial Windows version, or if you have any other video suggestions, be sure to leave those down below as well, as I always enjoy reading what you guys have to say. And as always, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.